All right, hi everyone. Welcome to today's training webinar. My name is Jamie Bruin and I'm part of the support team here at SuiteFiles. Today's training session is going to be for the scanning and templates functionality in SuiteFiles. And we're going to be, first of all, going through the scanning, and then we're going to focus on the file and email template functionality. And we'll be doing that specifically with the XPM integration. That's just taking that's just assuming that everyone in this webinar is actually using that XPM integration and wants to see that. If anyone here is not planning on creating file templates for that integration, please feel free to let me know before we get to that, and that way I can leave it to the end. Otherwise, I'll be kind of focusing on that for the templates. Just a bit of information before we get started. I am recording this webinar, so I will be uploading the recording of this webinar as well as all of the other training webinars for this week onto our YouTube channel. And our YouTube channel is simply called SuiteFiles. You can watch these recordings or any previous recordings of training webinars there at any time that you would like. The other thing is that to help with this training, we do have a help center. So our help center is simply suitehelp.suitefiles.com. And here we have instructions for the things we're going to be going through in this webinar. So we have a template section, and then SuiteFiles Outlook will also have an email template section here. So you can reference this afterwards if you just need some extra instructions, or if you want to refer to screenshots, we'll just quickly have a glance at that and see how you can use those to help with creating your templates as well. All right, cool. So first of all, we'll get into the scanning functionality. What scanning actually allows you to do in SuiteFiles is it allows you to generate a unique email address for a folder, and you can then use that email address to either email attachments, or you can put that email address in a scanner, and any files that go to that email address will automatically upload into that folder in your SuiteFiles site. So what we need to do first of all is we'd need to actually create a folder for our scanning. We're going to create a new subfolder. We're just going to call this Scanning for Training August. So what we do to actually generate this unique email address for this particular folder that we're in, Scanning for Training, we want to click on the three dots next to that folder path to bring up the folder options here. And then we simply click this Create Email Address button. After a few seconds, this will generate our unique looking email address, which we can see here. We can copy that email address. We can put that in an email, or we could take that email address and put it in a scanner. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this in a new email, like so. And what's going to happen when I send this email is this attachment here, this file that I've attached to the email, when it's sent to this unique email address, it's going to automatically upload into that folder that I generated this email address for. So I'm going to go and send that off now. And in a few seconds or in a minute, it's going to be automatically uploaded into this folder here. Now, while we can wait, we can have a look at the files as they upload into the folder. If we decide to create multiple different email addresses for different folders, so for example, if you wanted to actually generate unique email addresses for a bunch of different client folders, then you're going to have a lot of different email addresses to manage and a lot of different folders to go through. And if you need to rename those files that upload or move them to another location, you're probably going to find that it gets a little unmanageable. So what we actually have to make this really efficient and to make organizing all of the scanning a lot easier, we have the Scans section here. So if we click on the Scans tab, what this is actually going to display here is it's going to display all of the files that we have uploaded into SuiteFiles by simply sending it to one of those email addresses that we generated for a folder. So we can see that that file that I just sent, this one here, has actually already uploaded into that folder, Scanning for Training for August here. And we can actually see when it was uploaded, which was just a minute ago. Now, what we can actually use this scan section for, as well as being able to see all files that have been uploaded, regardless of the fact that they're in different folders, is we can actually change the file name from here, and we can change the location that that file is in at the same time. So for example, if I wanted to rename this, Let's say I want to rename this to a different client. Take that out. And let's say I want to actually move this file that I've scanned or uploaded into SuiteFiles. I want to move it into a different folder. What I can do is I can actually interact with the folder path just above the file name here. So if I wanted to look at all of the subfolders under the business folder, for example, I could simply click on business here. And you can see this now gives me an option to choose a subfolder directly under business. But I want to actually choose a client folder, so I'm going to also click on the home folder. And now I have the option to click the choose a subfolder dropdown, and I can select my clients folder from here. I can then click the choose a subfolder dropdown again. This will give me a list of all of my subfolders that are under that clients folder. And here I can select the client folder I'd like to file this to. And let's say we also want to put this in a year folder under that client. We can click on the choose a subfolder dropdown again, and we can select the year folder here. So this is going to be the new folder path that this file is stored in, and this is going to be its new file name. Now what we need to do is we simply click the File It button, and what this will do is this will move that file and rename the file at the same time. But the other really important thing that that File It button will actually do is it will remove that file from the scans list. So if I actually just refresh that scans view, we can see that that file has gone. It's been filed away. If I were to go directly into the folder in SuiteFiles, so if I went into the business folder, then scanning for training, I've already moved that file, so it's not going to be listed here. But if I went through the process of moving the file or renaming it directly within the folder here, it's still going to be listed under the scans view because we haven't gone into scans and clicked that File It button. It's the specific action of clicking that button which will actually remove it from this list. So you can also think of this scan section as a queue of scanned items, and you'll be able to see that files are grouped by the date that they were uploaded on. And I highly recommend using this section to rename and move items that you have scanned, as well as just keep track of what you're uploading as well. Now, if you do happen to create a lot of different email addresses for folders, and you lose track of which folders you've actually generated email addresses for before, or finding which folder you need to locate because you've just sent a document to an email address, what you can actually do is from within the scan section here, you can click on this button at the top right of the window that says View All Scanning Email Addresses. And this will open up a list of all of the folders that you currently have a unique email address for. So we can see our clients folder, for example, has this email address associated with it. So anything I send to this email address right here at the top will be uploaded to that clients folder. This is the email address here for our business folder, and we can see all of the other folders here and their associated email addresses. Cool, now that is the scanning functionality. The scans section here obviously being the main part of that and the easiest way to manage your scanning into SuiteFiles. If anyone does have any questions about that at all, please feel free to let me know through the Q&A section of the webinar tool. And in just a few minutes, we'll move on to having a look at the templates functionality. All right, cool. We haven't had any questions, but if anyone does have any questions at all about any of the scanning functionality, please feel free to put them through at any time. But now we'll move on to having a look at the file templates and how we can use those. So I'm just going to go back to the home screen of my SuiteFiles site here, and I actually already have some files set up that I'd like to save as a template. And I'll show you how you can do this. So first of all, what we actually need to do is create the file template that we'd like to use. So I'm going to go into these files here. So these are just some files that I've created. There's nothing special about them yet. So just be aware of that. You won't have files already in your site with these names or anything like that. And you are pretty unlikely to have a folder called files to template. This is just simply a folder that we've named as that. Now, if I open up one of these files here, what we can see is while we have some normal kind of content in this Word document, we also have these fields that probably look a bit strange and unique here. And these fields here are actually merge fields. These are kind of the really special thing about the file templates, and these are the things that we use specifically with the Xero integration. So what you can do with file templates, you can save a file as a template, and that would allow you to create a copy of that file when you're creating a new file. It's effectively the same as if you're on the desktop, you could copy and paste the file if it's a file that you are regularly using. But without having to copy and paste it, you can just have a list of different templates to choose from. However, the merge fields that we have here add an extra kind of piece of functionality to this. And this is where you can basically use these merge fields. And what you can do is when you have this saved as a template, it will actually populate those fields with a client that you select. It will pull through that client's information from the Xero Practice Manager, for example, and it will fill in those fields with the relevant client information. So for example, this client business name field at the top here, when we're creating a file using this template, what it would do is it would go ahead and for a client that you have selected, it would look at XPM and it would look at the clients in XPM. It would take this particular client that you select's information from XPM, and providing it has a business name field in XPM filled out with information, it would fill out this field with that corresponding information from XPM. There is a bit of kind of playing around with this feature to really get the hang of it, but we'll go through the process of creating the template as best as we can. So first of all, let's say we're creating the file that we want to use as a template now. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this. I might not have these merge fields already in here, and obviously these merge fields are very specific, so they do need to be in the exact format as they are in this file. And so the first way that you can have a look and actually find the merge fields that you can use is by going to our Help Center. So we're just going to go to our Help Center from within the web app, which we can do by clicking on our username at the top right. And from the little drop-down menu here, we can click the Help Center button. This will just open up a new tab and take you directly to the Help Center. We're going to go to the Xero integration section. And we're going to go into Xero Practice Manager, or you can actually see the most popular article here right at the top is Xero Practice Manager Fields for Templates. You could also search for this in the Help Center to find it. The article we want is Xero Practice Manager Fields for Templates. We're going to open up that article. And what this has is a list of these merge fields that we can use. These date merge fields, they don't require anything from XPM. They're just completely generic based on the date. However, all of these ones for things like clients and contacts, this is where it's pulling that information for that particular client from the Xero Practice Manager. And these field names right here on the left-hand side, you can copy and paste these, or you can type them into the file, but they need to be in this exact format. You can't change up any of the special characters here or the words in these fields, otherwise it's not going to work. Now we do also have some custom fields here, which we'll have a look at shortly. But for now, let's say we wanted to add in a merge field into our file template and we wanted to take something we don't already have in here. Let's say we want to take a field like the client's IRD number. And let's say we were putting this somewhere in the document. We could put it in the middle of text. We can see we actually have some merge fields in the middle of this text here. I'm just going to put it here. So you can literally just copy and paste these merge fields into the document. Obviously, this one's kind of on its own, and you probably wouldn't just put an IRD number here randomly, but you can just put these wherever you'd like in the document. If you do put them in the header or the footer, it won't work though. But aside from that, anywhere in the document, you can paste these merge fields in, and these will work in your file template. So once you've written up a file that you'd like to use as a template, and you've inserted these merge fields that you'd like to use, the way to save this particular file as a template, you can either do it if you have the file open in the browser already by clicking on the three dots next to the file path here, and then clicking the Save as a Template option, or you can go to the folder that that file is located in, like so. And then for that particular file, you can go to the very right-hand side of that file. You can click on the three dots, which brings up the file options. And then you can click the Save as Template button. Now, what it will do is it will ask you in this text field what you want the name of that file template to be. By default, what it will actually do is it will take the name of that file and fill that text field in with the name. And if you want to actually change the name of the template here, you can just edit the text. So let's say we want to call that year-end letter 2019. Now we also have template categories in SuiteFiles. And what these allow you to do is actually assign file templates to a category. And that category works a bit like a folder. So it helps with organizing and managing those file templates, particularly if you have a lot of them. I'm just going to select the year-end letters category that I have in my site. And I'm now going to click the Save Template button. And clicking that Save Template button takes a copy of this file here and stores it in our template section in SuiteFiles. So it's important to note that it takes a copy of that file and places it in a different section in SuiteFiles because it's not linked to this file. If we updated this file here, which is just in a normal folder in our site, if we update this file here now, it's not going to update into that template that we already saved. So that's really important to be aware of. This is just simply a normal file. If we wanted to then go and edit the template that we've just saved, we'd have to specifically go into the template section of our site to do that. We will have a look at that template section. There's also another way we can actually get those merge fields, which is really useful, but will only be available for some users, depending on your permissions. So what we're going to do now is just have a quick look at what actually happens when we select that file template to create a new file. So we're going to go into a client folder in our site, and let's go into our 99 Corporation client folder here. Let's create a 2019 folder actually. And now we're going to create a new file using that file template that we just saved. So to do this, we go to the top right of our site and click the blue Create button. And then we want to select the File from Template option. This brings up the little window here where we can see all of the file templates that are available on our site. Now you can see from this main view how we have the file templates displayed here. If you have a lot of file templates, then obviously scrolling through here to find the file template you're after isn't going to be very efficient. Some people might have hundreds of file templates that they decide to create. And so for that, you obviously want another way to be able to find the file templates. The first way you can do that is by using the search field at the top right of this window where it just says search for a template. We can actually type in the name of the file template we're looking for. So we could type in year-end letter, for example. And we can see that we now only see the file templates that contain those words. We put in the search bar at the top here. The other way that we can locate our file templates is we can use the template categories that are listed on the left-hand side here. And we can see all of the file templates that are assigned to those particular template categories. So for example, the financial category has 3 file templates here. And these 3 file templates have specifically been assigned to that financial category. We have our year-end letters category at the bottom here, which we know we added this file to when we saved it as a template. So if we click on that category, we know we're going to find that file template that we just created. Now what happens here is we now click on the file template to select it, and we'll see 2 text fields at the bottom fill up, or we'll see a text field and a client name. Now the text field on the left-hand side here is for what the name of the new file is going to be. And we can see it's already got some text in there. What it will do is it will automatically fill out with the name of the file template. And if you actually have a client selected, like we already do, it will add on at the end, it will add the word for, and then it will provide the client name at the end. If you want to change this text, you can't edit the text directly, but you can type in your own text to overwrite that name. We're going to leave it as the default for now. Now the other thing is that this client here actually automatically selected for that field. And the reason for that is we're currently in a client folder, and we can see that client folder is named 99 Corporation, and it's selected a client from our XPM, which is called 99 Corporation. So because the client, or because the client folder in SuiteFiles matches to a client name in XPM, it's automatically selected that particular client for us for this file template. Now, if you don't have a match for that client folder in XPM, if the name is slightly different, if it's formatted differently, or if you're creating the file template outside of the clients folder, for example, then you can, you'll actually have this text field here instead that says choose a client. And from here, you can type in the name of the client you're looking for and select that from the little drop-down list below. And you can see when I don't have a client selected, the name for the new file is only year-end letter 2019. It doesn't have the for with the client name part on it. If you were wanting to create a file from the template without populating any merge fields, or if you didn't have any merge fields in the file template at all, then you just simply leave this choose a client text field blank, click the create button, and it will just create an identical copy of that template. We do want to populate some merge fields with information, so we're going to actually select that client again. And now when I click the create button, it's going to take that client and it's going to look in XPM, it's going to get that client's information from XPM, and it's going to fill out those merge fields in my file template with the relevant information for that particular client. So we can see already the business name field filled in with 99 Corporation. We can see the address fields filled in with the relevant address information. We can see the date filled in, the primary contact salutation field filled in here. Client IRD didn't fill in, and the reason for that is there won't be a field for this client that has information with this name. So if you do use merge fields, you do need to be aware of the fact that they can only fill in if you actually have the information for them in your XPM account. And I think this merge field at the bottom was probably a partner or account manager field, but we can see that these merge fields have all been filled in, and all of the content that we provided has also been included in the file. So that's how you can use those file templates to create a new file. Now we'll just go into the template section and actually have a look at some of the other ways you can view those merge fields, and some of the ways you can actually have a look at what's going to fill in without having to create a new file. So first of all, if you're either a SuiteFiles administrator or you're a standard user who has been given permission to manage templates, then when you go to the More tab at the in the browser, you'll have access to this Manage Templates section. So if we click on this, we go to our template section. What we can do here is we can view all of our templates. We have some filters on the left-hand side, so we can see our template categories. We can go down just to document templates or email templates or folder templates. For now, we're going to leave that on documents, and we want to locate that file template we created, which was year-end letter 2019. Now we can click on the template here to open it. We can see it's under our All Templates section. And because I've opened up the template itself, any changes I make to this file do update to that template. So if I were to edit this template now, and then go ahead and create a new file using this template, that new file would be using the updated information from the template. Now, what we can do is we can actually go to the top right of the browser. We can click on this little panel icon. So this is the panel icon just under your username at the top right here. Brings out this little side panel. Now, the really useful part of this little side panel is if we scroll down a little bit, we have this client information section. And what we can do here is we can use the drop down at the top to select a client from XPM. So we're going to select 99 Corporation. And what this will actually do is it will take that client and it will look at all of the merge fields that we could use, and it will actually display those merge fields at the right-hand side here. And what it will also do, which is really, really useful, is it will display the corresponding information for that client from XPM for that merge field. So we could see if we were to use the client business name merge field in this file template, this underneath is the information that that field will actually fill in with when we create the file using this template. We can see we have information for the address field, and as mentioned, there was no information for this client IRD field, so it didn't work. We can see we do have some information for the primary contact, and so we can see there's a mixture of merge fields which do have information, and we'll see a mixture of other merge fields which do not have information. So we can use this, we could go through a couple of different clients, and this is a really useful way to see which merge fields are the ones that are going to be useful for you, because you don't want to be using merge fields specific to only one or two clients. You want to try and make it reasonably generic. That way you can use it for as many clients as possible. So that's how you can get these merge fields really easily, and just have a look at what these merge fields will actually pull through. And you can edit the browser directly here. You can click the Edit in Browser button. And you can edit the template from here. So we could remove the client IRD field. If we wanted to, we could just insert that field again. And again, we could just copy and paste it from the right-hand side here into our file template. And from here, we could just navigate out of the template by clicking on all templates at the top left here, and that will actually automatically save that file template. So that's how you can edit the file template, as well as a really useful way to retrieve those merge fields and have a look at a kind of simulated output for those merge fields. Now the other thing is these template categories here. So this is where we can create new template categories and manage the template categories we already have. So let's say we wanted to delete a template category. We could simply right click on that category in this section and select delete category. If we want to rename it, we could click rename. I'm actually going to delete this year-end letters one, so I'm going to click delete category. And I'm just going to create the same category again. So to create a new category, you simply click on the plus icon at the right-hand side of where it says categories. You provide the name for your template category. So, and you click the create category button. We can see our new category is being created, like so. Now let's say we wanted to assign a file template into a category. The way to do this is you go to the file template in this list under the template manager, and you click on the three dots next to that file. So let's say, for example, we wanted to move my demo template into the year-end letters category. We'd go to those three dots, click on them. This brings up the options for that particular file template. From here, we would hover over the Add to Category button, which will open up the different template categories that we have in our site. We can select the particular template category we'd like to use, and if we view that template category, we'd see that file template is now assigned to it. So these categories do work very similarly to folders. The only difference really between them being categories and folders is that you can't have multiple levels. It's just the one top level of these categories. So yeah, that's how to manage those categories. That's really it for the template manager. And as a matter of fact, that's it for the file template section. The next thing we will be looking at are email templates, because the kind of bulk part of the functionality are those merge fields and the kind of idea of how a template works. The email templates are very similar to file templates, so there's not as much content to go through there. So if anyone has any questions about anything for the file templates, for those merge fields, the template manager, how you can populate those client details in the merge fields, please feel free to let me know through the Q&A section in the webinar tool now. Otherwise, in a minute or two, I will go on to the email templates. All right, cool. We haven't had any questions come through, but feel free to still post them through at any time. We'll move on to having a look at the email templates now. So to use email templates, we'll actually need to have the SuiteFiles for Outlook add-in installed. We went through this yesterday afternoon, so hopefully everyone has this add-on installed already. But once you have this add-on installed, what you can do is you can compose a new email in Outlook. And what you can do here is the same idea as file templates. You first of all create the email that you'd like to use as your template. I am going to cheat here and just quickly use a template we already have. So this is an email that I have crafted up here. And this is a kind of email that I'm going to send out to clients on a regular basis. It's actually a kind of welcome letter that we maybe would be sending to new clients. So I want to make this rather generic, and I also want to use merge fields so that I could have it automatically fill in the client information each time I'm sending this to a client. So a few things that are slightly different here to file templates are where you can actually use the merge fields. So of course you can use the merge fields in the body of the email. You can also use merge fields in the subject line, but you cannot use it for the email address fields. That's just a limitation or a restriction in Outlook. We can't do that. But the other thing that's different here is we have an attached file as part of this email. And that attached file actually has a merge field in its file name. If we open up the attached file, we'll actually see there are merge fields in this file, like so. And this is pretty much the file template that we used before, but it's just a regular file that has these merge fields. The merge fields are really the thing that make this special. So if I close that file now that I have my email created and I want to use this as an email template, what I would do is I would go to the top left of the window and I would click the Save as Email button. Save as Email Template button. What you do here is you need to provide in the text field the name for this email template. And if you have any attached files, there's an option here to include those attachments as part of the email template. So I'm going to tick that because I do want that file to be attached. And then we simply click the Create Template button here. Now this, if it doesn't work like that, it's quite likely that you already have an email template with that name. Yep, okay, cool. Now what we can do, now that we've saved that email as a template, it's going to be available to all users in our SuiteFiles site. The templates aren't user specific, they're available across the whole site. So if I actually close this email because I've already saved it as a template, and going forward, if I were to compose a new email and I wanted to use that email template to generate a new email and populate it with client information to send out, what I could do is I could go to the top left of the window here. I could click on the Insert from Template drop-down, and I could select the email template I'd like to use, which for this one was, I think, Welcome to Suite 2022. what we can do here, we can either choose to not pre-populate it. This is the same as not selecting a client for a file template. If you don't select a client, it will just simply create an exact copy of that email without trying to populate any of those merge fields. But if we do want to populate merge fields with client information, we'd click on the Choose a Client drop-down here, would select the client. You can actually see there's an abbreviation in brackets there to tell you what app it's actually pulling that information from, or what app it's pulling those clients from. If you want to filter down to a client, you can simply quickly type in the beginning letters of that client you're looking for, and the list will filter down to that client. I'm actually going to select the 99 Corporation client here, and I'm going to click the pre-populate button. Now I think there is a field that won't fill in here. Yep, but we can see that in the subject line, we had that business name merge field fill in with the 99 Corporation field. This was the 99 Corporation client. We can see the attached file, the file name actually has that merge field filled in. We can see that the primary contact salutation field's filled in. The field here filled in. We can see this field didn't fill in. And again, if a field like this doesn't fill in, it's either because the field doesn't have any information for that client in XPM, or it's going to be because that client has actually been, that field has been added in there incorrectly. So for example, this might be formatted incorrectly. It could be without the underscore, or maybe there's not a field for client ID at all, and that might be why it's not filling in. We can just remove that. The other thing about email templates, which is really special, is this attached file here. If we open it up, if you remember, that attached file actually had merge fields in it, and we can see that all of those merge fields in this attached file have filled in with client information as well, which is really, really cool. Close that. Now, that's really it for the email templates. Just a little kind of bit of information to add on to all of that though. If you're using custom fields in XPM, you can use these as merge fields. The way you format these is the same as all of the other merge fields. You first of all have the word custom, and then you add in the field name as the second word. So for example, if the custom field was called IRD number, like so, you would simply add in the second word here as IRD number. But you could just take any of the merge fields from the Help Center or the side panel, you could copy and paste it and just change it so the first word is custom and the second word is the name of your custom field in XPM. Now, one of the common questions I get is, why does the IRD field or the, I think it's the ABN field, why is it filling in with some asterisks, some masked characters? The reason for that is Xero actually changed it so that when we retrieve that information, it comes through masked. I think it was a requirement from the ATO, but they implemented it through to everything. So unfortunately, it's not something that we can control. However, if you would really like to get around that, you could simply create your own custom field called IRD number, or you could call it ABN number. Whoops. And you could use that as a custom field in XPM to store that information. And if you use that custom field in your template in SuiteFiles, it will be able to pull through the full information. It's a little workaround, totally up to you as to whether you want to do that or not. The reason why Xero was masking those characters was a kind of security, a step to security prevention, I guess. So just be aware of that. That is the reason why they're masked in the first place. So it's totally up to you as to whether you want to try and get around that by creating your own custom field. Otherwise, I highly recommend having a bit of a play around with the email and file templates. You'll find out best by just kind of trying them out and creating your own as to whether you want to use some merge fields and maybe not others. It's really something that you'll definitely need to try out. And just remember, we do have our Help Center, which has instructions for all of this as well. If anyone has any questions, now is the time to ask them. Please just feel free to put through any questions about anything, about the scanning, about file templates or email templates, or about the template manager. Please feel free to put those through the Q&A section now. And as mentioned, the webinar has been recorded, and the recording will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, which is simply called SuiteFiles. I tend to upload the recordings of these webinars at the end of. I'll just give a few minutes in case anyone has any questions. I've got any questions. Cool. All right. We haven't had any questions come through. If anyone does have any questions, if anyone has any issues using the templates or scanning, or if you just want a hand with anything, please feel free to send an email through to our support team, who you can contact by emailing support@suitefiles.com. All right. Thanks for attending today's training webinar, everyone. And hopefully I'll see you all in tomorrow's training webinar for the XPM integration. All right, thanks everyone. Enjoy the rest of your afternoons.